Welcome to The Marcus Warren Show, powered by 960 Digital and the Wealth Empowerment Network. Now, here is your host, Marcus Warren.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the #1 retirement and tax planning show in the region, The Marcus Warren Show. I am your host, financial advisor, tax enrolled agent, and author of the Retirement and Tax Playbooks, Marcus Warren. And I hope everyone is doing well on this Sunday. And to my left, I am joined by our resident tax professional, Dee. How you doing, Dee?
Hello and happy Sunday.
And remember that if you missed any parts of the show and you want to catch up on anything that you missed, all you have to do is subscribe to the Marcus Warren Show podcast wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get it. It doesn't matter. But remember that also throughout the show, we will be offering our retirement rescue game plan. You may be asking what that is. And that's a physical packet of information that will help rescue your retirement from all the risk that threatens your nest egg once you are close and in retirement. Now, in that game plan, you're going to get a copy of my 2 books, a few different financial reports, and access to my webinar entitled Taxes in Retirement. Now, you may be asking yourself, how can I get my hands on that? Well, it is fairly simple. All you have to do is go to warrenwealth.net. You go to the site, you put in your information, and that retirement rescue game plan will be delivered free of charge via USPS to your front door. Once again, to get that retirement rescue game plan, how about this recession retirement rescue game plan? All you have to do is go to warrenwealth.net. All right, so let's get to some money matters.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar.
All right. So we haven't done this segment in a while, but we've had a few emails come in with all the stuff that's going on in the economy, in the market. It has people nervous, people scared, and if you go to warrenwealth.net, if you go to that site, there is an Ask Marcus button on there. You can click that Ask Marcus button, and you're sending me an email, so to speak, and we get those questions and we answer those. And so we got
Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, all of the above.
Actually, yes, we sure do. So let's jump into some of these emails.
Yes, it's email time. It's time to check the mail.
All right, first question today is from Oscar. He is in Louisville, and he says, I'm planning on retiring, or Louisville, or however you say it. Just kidding. He says, I'm planning on retiring at the end of this year, but now I'm nervous. With the recession and the crazy stock market, should I just put my retirement savings in cash?
Okay, Oscar, that's a fair question because I've been getting a lot of that. People are scared and they are saying, should I just jump out the market and park my money in cash? Especially because interest rates are going up, so you can get a little better rate on savings these days. Not a lot, but a little better. And so, and then congratulations. You said you're retiring at the end of the year. That means you're transitioning from that accumulation phase into the distribution phase. Now, once you do that, it is a whole different ball game. So the short answer to your question should be no, you shouldn't convert all of your retirement savings into cash. However, since you are retiring, that first 1 to 3 years of retirement is the fragile 3 years of retirement, meaning that you will need some short-term cash to fund that retirement. So the short-term money that you'll need to spend, and when I talk about short-term money, it's money that you're going to be taking from your retirement accounts, Oscar, for your living expenses, for your lifestyle, whatever you're going to be doing, traveling, whatever that may be. And so that should be basically in some cash-based investments, savings, CDs, maybe some short-term bonds, things of that nature that you have access to. And it's not going to go anywhere, and it's not susceptible to the ups and downs of the market. Simply because you don't want to have to pull money out for your living expenses while the market is going down. And so I know a lot of in our workshops, we talk about the sequence of return risk, basically meaning that when someone retires, depending on if you retire into an upward moving market, your money can last a lot longer than if you retire into a downward moving market. And so to kind of combat that, a good place to put cash-based investments is the money that you're going to be taking out short-term to live on. Now, you plan on being in retirement 20, 25 plus years, and so you still do need to have exposure to the market, because over the long term, the market generally tends to move up and it keeps up with inflation. And so, just like I said, to answer your question, Oscar, that's a long-winded answer. Your short-term money for your living expenses, that 1 to 3 years, yes, that should be in cash-based investments. The rest should be at least in some growth investments where you can beat inflation and have a happy retirement where you have peace of mind and you can relax and do whatever you need to do. All right.
I know that people always get scared when the market's been the way it's been this year.
Yeah.
A lot more so than when the market's going up. There's, a lot more joy, or a lot less joy in comparison to the fear that happens when the market goes down, and that causes some of those emotional decisions to occur. I'm glad Oscar's asking, for some advice, taking a step back, trying to think about it a little bit before he makes some
rash decisions, by the way, that everyone makes. That's why the average individual investor never does as well as the general market, because they let those emotions take over.
Yes.
Fear and greed. You can't do that. But they tend to do it.
And going to cash now, you're basically locking in your losses, right? You're locking in saying, hey, I'm taking all these losses. And you talked about this at an earlier client event that we did. You're going to be living 30 years plus in retirement, which is a long recovery period. You're still a long-term investor when you're retired.
And that's what people tend to forget. There are a lot of different quirks and things that happen during that distribution phase and in retirement. But at the same time, it's not like you take all your eggs off the table and go home and put it in your mattress. No, you're right. You are still a long-term investor because you're going to be living another 20 plus years in retirement. So you have to think of the things like that. Let's do another.
One more? Okay. Next question is from Drew. Drew's in New Albany. He says, the Federal Reserve keeps raising interest rates, but inflation is still high. Why aren't the rate increases working? And when can we expect inflation to slow down? I want to know too.
Don't we all want to know that, Drew?
Yes.
Of course we do. Of course we want to know when we can expect inflation to slow down. Unfortunately, no one has a crystal ball and no one really knows. And basically what inflation is when too many dollars are chasing too few products. And, we are feeling the effects from the stimulus packages that came in for COVID and things of that nature. Supply chain issues, which are disrupted the supply chain. And that's why we have these few products that are out there. And of course, we have all these dollars that are chasing that. And so that's why we've seen inflation shoot out the roof. And so a way that the government or the Fed can combat that is by raising interest rates. Now, it's not an exact science. Actually, it's more art than it is science. And so basically they're trying to raise rates, throwing a bunch of stuff up against the wall to kind of see what sticks and what slows down the economy enough where it doesn't push us into a recession. However, we are going towards a recession, or basically are in a recession. And so we're going to have to see, and they're going to play this balancing trick to see, what happens. And, I would expect another rate increase. When will inflation slow? I don't know. And, speaking of, it's already slow. I mean, it's still high, but it was at 9%. And now, inflation has been down about 1.5%. So it's right around 8% or so now. And they do expect it to, I guess when the numbers come out next month or whenever they come out, they do expect inflation to be down even more. But as these rates go up, rate increases, by the way, are fantastic for savers. Just like we talked about earlier. Right now, cash-based investment CDs, things of that nature, you are starting to see that you can get some decent rates. And I say decent rates, 2, 3, 4% sometimes on some of these CDs and cash-based investments, which they weren't that beforehand. So they're good for savers. Unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of savers here in the U.S. Most people are consumers. And so how do increased rates affect consumers? Well, credit card rates go up. because interest rates are going up. Auto financing, if you're trying to get a car now, you're going to find that those low rates aren't there anymore. Just to give you an idea, at the start of this year, the average interest rate for a new car was 3.85%. Today, now we're looking at close to 6, 5.25, almost 6. That goes up. Mortgages. Let's talk about mortgages. Early this year, rates were around 3%. Now they're over 6%. And that is why you need to be more of a saver than a consumer, because all of these things go up and it can put people in these precarious situations. And that's, by the way, how things slow down. When interest rates are higher for houses and cars and your credit cards, what do people tend to do? They tend to not purchase stuff on their credit cards, and they tend to not get that car or not get that house, and that slows things down. And that's the way it works. And we'll see, how this plays out over the next 6 months or so. But there you go, Drew. I wish I knew when it was going to be over, but I do not.